Your soulmate never meant you to read this secret love letter. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. Before you keep scrolling, pause for just a moment because something about your journey has quietly brought you here today. Maybe you've been carrying questions that no one around you has been able to answer. Maybe your heart has been feeling strangely restless, as if a chapter you thought had ended is somehow still unfinished. Maybe you've been waking up at unusual hours, sensing that something is shifting beneath the surface even though your world looks exactly the same. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There are moments in life when a hidden truth finds its way into the light, not because anyone planned for it to happen, but because the heart grows tired of carrying secrets that were never meant to remain buried forever. This is one of those moments. Imagine, for a moment, a quiet room illuminated only by the soft glow of a bedside lamp. Outside, the world has fallen asleep. The noise of the day has faded into silence, leaving only the sound of someone's thoughts echoing through the darkness. Your soulmate sits alone at a small desk. A blank sheet of paper rests before them. They have picked it up, put it down, picked it up again, and stared at it for what feels like hours. They are not writing because they expect anyone to read these words. In fact, they are convinced no one ever will. They believe this letter will remain hidden forever, folded carefully and tucked away where only they can find it. Yet the universe has a remarkable way of bringing hidden truths into the light at exactly the right time. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Some letters are never mailed, yet they still change the lives of the people they were written for. The first sentence is the hardest. Their hand trembles slightly as the pen finally touches the page. They don't begin with grand declarations or dramatic promises. Instead, they write something painfully simple: "I don't know if I'll ever be brave enough to say these words out loud." That one sentence breaks something open inside them. The walls they spent so many months building begin to crack. Every excuse, every carefully rehearsed explanation, every reason they used to convince themselves that silence was the safest choice suddenly feels much smaller than the truth waiting to be spoken. They realize they have spent more energy pretending they were fine than they ever spent understanding why they weren't. This message is for you. While your soulmate has been wrestling with feelings they never intended to reveal, your own heart has been walking through a different kind of transformation. There was a season when you questioned everything. You replayed old conversations searching for clues. You wondered if the connection you felt had only existed in your imagination. Every unanswered message, every unexpected silence, every change in behavior became another puzzle you desperately wanted to solve. But healing slowly entered your life, not through one dramatic breakthrough, but through countless quiet decisions. You chose to keep moving forward even when your heart felt heavy. You chose to believe that your value could not be measured by another person's confusion. You chose peace, one day at a time. Those choices changed you in ways you may not fully recognize yet. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Back in that quiet room, the letter continues. Every paragraph becomes more honest than the last. Your soulmate writes about the first time they realized your presence made ordinary days feel extraordinary. They admit they never appreciated how naturally you brought calm into their life. At the time, they believed peace was something that simply existed. Only after it disappeared did they understand how precious it had been. They write about moments they once dismissed as ordinary. Late-night conversations, shared laughter over insignificant things, quiet support during difficult days. Looking back, they realized those simple moments became the strongest memories of all. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There is another sentence in the letter that stops them completely. They stare at it for several minutes before continuing to write. I kept pretending I was protecting myself, but the truth is, I was only protecting my fear. Those words feel heavier than anything else on the page because they expose something they had never admitted before. For so long, they believed vulnerability was dangerous. They believed remaining silent gave them control. They believed avoiding difficult conversations somehow kept their hearts safe. Now they understand something entirely different. Silence did not protect them. It only delayed the honesty that could have changed everything. This message is for you. Perhaps you've also noticed quiet reminders appearing throughout your own journey. Maybe you found yourself glancing at the clock exactly when it reads 11:11. Maybe 2:22 seems to appear whenever patience feels especially difficult. Perhaps 444 catches your attention during moments when you need reassurance that your growth has not been in vain. Whether you view these moments as spiritual encouragement or simply meaningful coincidences, let them remind you that healing often begins long before visible change appears. The strongest roots grow beneath the surface where no one can see them. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. As the letter grows longer, your soulmate begins writing about regrets they have never spoken aloud. They regret assuming there would always be more time. They regret believing important conversations could wait until tomorrow. They regret confusing emotional distance with emotional maturity. Most of all, they regret failing to recognize the rare gift of being truly understood while they were still living inside it. They write, "I didn't lose you in one moment. I lost you one unspoken truth at a time." The realization brings tears they never expected. Not because they enjoy dwelling on the past, but because they finally understand it. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Yet this letter is not only about regret. Hidden between every difficult confession is gratitude. Gratitude for the way you believed in them when they doubted themselves. Gratitude for your patience during seasons when they struggled to understand their own emotions. Gratitude for showing them what emotional safety felt like before they even knew how to appreciate it. They realize your greatest gift was never perfection. It was consistency. It was kindness. It was creating a space where they could simply be themselves without fear of judgment. This message is for you. Continue protecting the peace you've worked so hard to build. Continue honoring every lesson your healing has taught you. Continue believing that healthy love is built through honesty, consistency, emotional safety, and mutual respect. Never forget that your growth remains one of the most valuable parts of your story. Anyone who hopes to walk beside you must value that growth just as deeply as you do. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. The letter finally reaches its final page. Your soulmate places the pen down and quietly rereads every word. They had never intended for anyone else to see these thoughts. They believed they were writing only to free their own heart from the weight it had carried for far too long. They fold the pages carefully, place them inside an envelope without writing a name on the front, and hide it away where they believe it will remain forever. Yet life has an extraordinary way of revealing hidden truths when hearts have finally become ready to receive them. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. That secret letter was never only about the words written on paper. It was about a heart finally becoming honest with itself. Reflection has become understanding. Understanding is becoming courage. Courage is quietly preparing to become action. And in the next chapter, you'll discover why the secret your soulmate never intended anyone to read is about to change everything they thought they understood about love, forgiveness, and the future they once believed had slipped away forever. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. The letter was never supposed to survive the night. After folding those pages with trembling hands, your soulmate sat in complete silence, staring at the envelope as though it carried the weight of an entire lifetime. They whispered to themselves, "No one can ever read this." Not because the words were dangerous, but because they were too honest. For the first time in years, every wall they had carefully built around their heart had fallen away. Every excuse had disappeared. Every mask had slipped to the floor. All that remained was truth. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There are secrets we keep from the world, and then there are secrets we keep from ourselves. This letter was never just a confession to you, it was the first honest conversation your soulmate had ever allowed themselves to have with their own heart. They carefully placed the envelope inside the pages of an old journal hidden on the highest shelf in the room. Dust covered the journal because it had not been touched in years. It was filled with unfinished dreams, forgotten plans, and thoughts they had written during different seasons of life. They believed this letter would become just another forgotten page. Yet before closing the journal, they unfolded the first page one final time. Their eyes landed on a sentence they had written only minutes before: "If I never tell you how much you changed my life, I will spend the rest of my life pretending I was never changed at all." Those words refused to let them close the journal. They stared at them for what felt like hours, realizing they had finally admitted something they had spent years trying to deny. The connection had never truly disappeared. It had simply gone quiet beneath layers of fear, pride, and unfinished healing. This message is for you. Perhaps you've experienced moments when your own heart whispered something your mind tried to ignore. Maybe you felt that strange pull toward a memory you thought you had already released. Maybe you've wondered why certain names, places, or conversations continue returning long after you believed the chapter had ended. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Memories are not always invitations to return to the past. Sometimes they are reminders of the lessons that shaped the person you've become. Your journey has already transformed you. The version of yourself who once begged for clarity has become someone who protects peace. The version of yourself who once questioned your worth has become someone who recognizes your own value before anyone else does. That transformation matters more than you realize. The following morning, your soulmate woke with an unfamiliar feeling resting on their heart. They expected embarrassment after writing such an emotional letter. Instead, they felt relief. Not complete relief, but enough to notice the difference. It was the first morning in a long time that they did not wake pretending everything was fine. They no longer had to hide the truth from themselves because it now existed in black ink on white paper. The letter had become proof that the emotions were real. They could deny them to other people if they wanted, but they could no longer deny them to themselves. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Throughout the day, something unusual happened. Ordinary conversations suddenly felt shallow. Small talk became exhausting. They found themselves craving honesty instead of comfort. A coworker asked, "How's everything going?" For months they would have smiled automatically and answered, "Everything's great." This time they paused. They still smiled, but inside they realized how often they had hidden behind those familiar words. They weren't living dishonestly because they wanted to deceive others. They had simply become afraid of allowing anyone to see what was really happening inside. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. As the afternoon passed, little reminders appeared one after another. A familiar song played in a store. Someone nearby laughed in a way that sounded strangely familiar. A stranger held a door open with the same quiet kindness you once showed without expecting recognition. None of these moments seemed extraordinary to anyone else, yet together they formed something impossible to ignore. It was as though life kept gently asking the same question: how much longer will you pretend this story never mattered? Every reminder pulled them back toward the hidden letter waiting inside that journal. This message is for you. While your soulmate struggled with these questions, your own spirit had continued growing stronger. Think about how differently you now respond to uncertainty. There was a season when silence stole your peace. Today, silence no longer defines your worth. There was a season when you believed love meant constantly proving yourself. Today, you understand that genuine love is expressed through mutual effort, respect, and consistency. Those lessons became part of your foundation. They cannot be erased simply because someone else begins waking up to truths you discovered long ago. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. As evening approached, your soulmate returned home feeling emotionally exhausted. Without even thinking, they walked directly to the shelf, reached for the old journal, and opened it again. They reread every line. Some sentences made them smile through tears. Others filled them with quiet regret. Yet one paragraph seemed to shine brighter than the rest. The greatest mistake I ever made was believing that protecting my pride was more important than protecting the connection we shared. I thought silence would save me from rejection. Instead, silence slowly separated me from the person who made me feel most understood. They whispered those words aloud, and hearing them in their own voice changed everything. For the first time, they truly believed them. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes healing begins the moment we stop rewriting our story to make ourselves appear stronger than we really were. Your soulmate stopped blaming timing. They stopped blaming distance. They stopped blaming circumstances. Instead, they accepted responsibility for the moments fear became louder than honesty. That acceptance did not fill them with shame. It filled them with humility. Humility has a remarkable way of opening doors that pride keeps permanently closed. This message is for you. Perhaps you've noticed repeating numbers like 111 appearing when thoughts of new beginnings enter your mind. Maybe 222 reminds you to remain patient with your own growth. Perhaps 444 quietly encourages you to trust the strength you've already built. Whether you interpret those moments spiritually or simply as meaningful reminders, let them encourage you to continue moving forward without abandoning the wisdom you've earned. Every lesson has prepared you to recognize healthier love if it appears in your future. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. That hidden letter has now become much more than folded paper inside an old journal. It has become a mirror your soulmate can no longer avoid. Every time they read it, another layer of fear disappears. Every time they close it, another layer of courage quietly takes its place. Reflection is becoming accountability. Accountability is becoming determination. Determination is becoming the quiet strength required to stop living beneath the weight of "what if." Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Keep protecting your peace. Keep honoring your healing. Keep believing that genuine love grows through honesty, compassion, patience, and consistent actions rather than dramatic promises. Because the secret letter was never meant to remain hidden forever. It was meant to transform the heart that wrote it first. And in the next chapter, an unexpected event will force your soulmate to confront a question they never imagined answering, whether the words they believed would remain hidden forever were actually meant to lead them toward the one conversation that could change both of your lives. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. There are some mornings that arrive like every other morning, and then there are mornings that quietly divide a person's life into before and after. Your soulmate did not realize they were standing at that invisible line until they reached for the old journal once again. They had promised themselves they would stop reading the letter. They told themselves it had already served its purpose. The truth had been written. The emotions had been acknowledged. There was nothing more to gain from reopening old wounds. Yet something deep inside refused to let the journal remain closed. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. The heart has a way of returning to unfinished truths until they are no longer merely understood, they are lived. They carefully unfolded the pages, smoothing every crease as though they were handling something priceless. Their eyes moved slowly across the words they had written during that unforgettable night. This time, however, they noticed something they had completely overlooked before. Hidden between every sentence of regret was an even stronger message of hope. They had spent so much time focusing on what they wished they had done differently that they never realized the letter also revealed the person they wanted to become. They wanted to become someone who spoke honestly instead of assuming people could read their silence. They wanted to become someone brave enough to apologize without expecting immediate forgiveness. They wanted to become someone who valued emotional safety more than emotional control. Those desires had always been there, quietly waiting beneath layers of fear. Now they stood in plain sight, impossible to ignore. This message is for you. While your soulmate has been uncovering these hidden truths, your own journey has continued unfolding in powerful ways. Think back to the nights when uncertainty felt heavier than sleep. You searched for answers in every memory. You replayed conversations again and again, wondering whether one different sentence might have changed everything. There were moments when your heart became so tired that you questioned whether healing was even possible. Yet somehow, one ordinary day at a time, your life began moving forward. You discovered that healing does not erase memories, it changes the way those memories live inside you. Instead of becoming chains that hold you back, they slowly become lessons that help you move ahead with greater wisdom. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Throughout the afternoon, your soulmate finds themselves unable to concentrate on anything else. Meetings end, conversations pass, responsibilities are completed, yet their thoughts continue returning to the same simple question: if I had written this letter years ago instead of hiding it, how different would life look today? The question carries no bitterness. It carries humility. They finally understand that time cannot be reversed, but honesty can still shape whatever comes next. That realization feels both painful and strangely comforting. For the first time, they stop mourning only what was lost and begin considering what might still be possible, not through fantasy, but through growth. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Later that evening, they receive an unexpected phone call from someone they have not spoken with in a long time. The conversation begins casually, touching on work, family, and everyday life. Then, almost without warning, the other person says something that lingers long after the call ends: the people who change us the most rarely realize the impact they had. Those words settle deeply into your soulmate's heart. They don't explain why. They simply sit in silence after the call, allowing the meaning to unfold. They realize that love is not always measured by how long two people stay together. Sometimes it is measured by how deeply one person's kindness continues shaping another person's character long after circumstances have changed. This message is for you. Perhaps you've also noticed moments that gently remind you how far you've come. Maybe you no longer react to disappointment the way you once did. Maybe you've stopped chasing explanations that never arrive. Maybe you've learned to recognize the difference between temporary attention and genuine care. These are not small victories. They are evidence of profound growth. Every boundary you built came from a lesson earned through experience. Every moment of self-respect became another step toward the life you truly deserve. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. That evening, your soulmate does something unexpected. They begin writing again, not another love letter, but a list. At the top of the page they write, "Truths I can no longer ignore." One by one they begin filling the page. I still carry gratitude. Fear made too many decisions. Silence never solved anything. Peace mattered more than excitement. Kindness is unforgettable. I confused distance with strength. I stopped listening to my own heart. Each sentence feels like another chain quietly breaking. They realize growth begins the moment excuses end. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. As the list grows longer, one final sentence appears almost effortlessly: if I ever have another chance to speak honestly, I will not waste it. They stare at those words for several minutes. They are not making promises to another person. They are making a promise to themselves. For the first time, courage no longer feels like an impossible dream. It feels like the natural result of finally accepting the truth. This message is for you. Continue protecting the peace you've worked so hard to create. Continue honoring the version of yourself that refused to give up, even when your heart felt exhausted. Healthy love is never built upon confusion, endless guessing, or emotional games. It grows through honesty, consistency, mutual respect, accountability, and compassion. Never settle for anything that asks you to abandon the wisdom you've gained simply because someone else's journey is arriving later than yours. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. In the quiet hours before sleep, your soulmate returns the letter to its envelope. But this time, something is different. They no longer hide it out of shame. They place it inside the journal with gratitude because they recognize what it represents. It marks the moment they stopped running from themselves. The secret letter was never simply a confession of love. It was a record of transformation. It captured the exact moment fear stopped writing the story and truth took the pen. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Reflection has become clarity. Clarity has become responsibility. Responsibility is becoming quiet confidence. Every day that passes makes it harder for your soulmate to imagine remaining silent forever. They no longer wonder whether their feelings were real. They already know the answer. The only uncertainty left is how to move forward with integrity, humility, and respect for everything both hearts have experienced. As the night grows still, they whisper one final thought into the silence: if life ever gives me another opportunity, I don't want my actions to be guided by fear. I want them to be guided by truth. Those words echo through the room long after the lights are turned off. They close their eyes knowing tomorrow may look ordinary from the outside, but inside, another chapter has already begun. Because every hidden letter eventually leads to a hidden decision, and every hidden decision eventually becomes a visible action. In the next chapter, an unexpected encounter will force your soulmate to choose between remaining comfortable inside the life they have always known or stepping into the uncertainty that honesty demands. And that single choice will become the turning point they never imagined was waiting just ahead. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. Every hidden letter carries a moment when remaining silent becomes harder than speaking the truth. Your soulmate has arrived at that moment. For days, they have tried convincing themselves that writing those pages was enough. They believed pouring every feeling onto paper would satisfy the longing inside their heart. They thought the letter itself would become the ending. But instead, it became a beginning they never expected. Every time they walked past the old journal resting quietly on the shelf, they felt as though it was calling them back, not because the paper held magical answers, but because it reminded them of the promise they had made to themselves. The promise to stop allowing fear to decide the future. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There comes a point where healing demands action. Reflection prepares the heart, but courage changes the story. The next morning feels unusually calm. Sunlight filters through the window, filling the room with a quiet warmth. Your soulmate sits beside that same desk where the letter was written. They wrap both hands around a cup of coffee that slowly grows cold because their attention never leaves the journal. They think about everything that has changed over the past few weeks. They are no longer trying to convince themselves they never cared. They are no longer pretending the memories have faded. They are no longer blaming timing, distance, or circumstances for every unanswered question. Instead, they are beginning to understand that maturity often begins with accountability. It begins when someone finally says, "I could have handled things differently." That realization does not fill them with shame. It fills them with humility, and humility is quietly becoming the strongest part of their character. This message is for you. While another heart has been learning the value of honesty, your own journey has continued shaping you into someone stronger than you were yesterday. Think about how many times life asked you to choose between bitterness and growth. There were moments when resentment would have been easier. There were nights when giving up on hope would have felt safer than believing tomorrow might bring something better. Yet somehow, even through disappointment, you continued choosing healing. You learned to celebrate small victories. You learned to protect your energy. You learned that your peace was worth defending. Those lessons became treasures no difficult season could ever take away from you. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. That afternoon, your soulmate receives unexpected news. It is not dramatic. It is not life-changing on the surface. Someone they know announces they are moving away to begin a completely new chapter. Everyone around them offers congratulations and well wishes. Yet your soulmate hears something different beneath the conversation. They realize how quickly life moves forward. They realize opportunities rarely wait forever. They realize tomorrow is never guaranteed to look exactly like today. For the first time, they stop asking, "What if speaking honestly changes everything?" Instead, they begin asking, "What if remaining silent changes everything?" The second question feels much heavier. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. That evening, they open the hidden letter once more. This time, however, they do not reread it from beginning to end. Instead, they search for one sentence that has stayed with them since the night it was written. "I was never afraid of loving you. I was afraid of being fully seen." They whisper those words aloud several times. Every repetition strips away another layer of fear. They suddenly understand something that had been hidden in plain sight all along. Genuine love asks people to be authentic. Authenticity can feel frightening because it leaves no room for masks. Yet it also creates the only kind of connection capable of lasting through life's changing seasons. This message is for you. Perhaps you've noticed your own heart becoming more peaceful lately. Maybe situations that once caused anxiety no longer hold the same power over you. Maybe you've learned to recognize when someone values your presence rather than merely your attention. Perhaps you've continued seeing little reminders that encourage your spirit, 1111 appearing at unexpected moments, 222 during seasons of patience, or 444 reminding you of your inner strength. Whether you see these as spiritual signs or simply meaningful coincidences, let them remind you of one important truth: your healing matters. Never abandon it for uncertainty. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Later that night, your soulmate begins writing again. Not another love letter, but something completely different. They title the page, "Lessons I Never Want to Forget." The first lesson reads, "Never assume people know how much they matter." The second, "Fear always sounds reasonable until honesty finally speaks." The third, The people who bring peace into your life deserve gratitude while they are still beside you. The fourth, waiting for the perfect moment often becomes another way of avoiding courage. With every sentence, they feel lighter. They realize growth is no longer something they hope will happen someday. It is already happening. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Before closing the notebook, one final lesson appears almost effortlessly. Love without honesty eventually becomes silence, but honesty gives love a chance to breathe. They smile quietly because those words no longer feel like something they are writing. They feel like something they have finally learned. The secret letter has done exactly what it needed to do. It has transformed not only the way they remember the past but the way they intend to live the future. This message is for you. Continue honoring your own boundaries. Continue believing that genuine relationships are built through trust earned over time, not promises spoken in moments of emotion. Continue choosing consistency over confusion and respect over uncertainty. The person you become deserves relationships where communication is open, kindness is intentional, and both hearts are willing to grow together instead of expecting one person to carry the entire weight of the connection. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. As midnight approaches, your soulmate stands by the window looking at the quiet world outside. The hidden letter remains safely inside the journal, yet it no longer feels hidden inside their heart. For the first time, they imagine what life might look like if they stopped letting fear decide every important conversation. They are not imagining perfect outcomes. They understand life offers no guarantees. What they desire now is something much simpler and much more meaningful. The peace that comes from knowing they were finally honest. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Reflection has become wisdom. Wisdom has become courage. Courage is becoming quiet determination. Determination is preparing to become action. The secret letter your soulmate never meant anyone to read has fulfilled its first purpose. It changed the person who wrote it. Now another chapter is beginning. A chapter where hidden feelings slowly become spoken truths, where old fears lose their influence, and where every step forward is guided less by regret and more by integrity. In the final chapter, an unexpected opportunity will appear, forcing your soulmate to decide whether the words locked inside that forgotten envelope belong only to the past, or whether they were always meant to become the first page of an entirely new story.